Hey everyone, today I want to take you on a quick tour of what I have on my iPad. So I work mostly from an iPad for basically everything. The only thing I really do on a Mac is, ironically, the ScreenFlows for this YouTube channel. So I use ScreenFlow on the Mac to record my screen a lot of times, and I like to use it for editing because it lets me do some animation stuff exceptionally easy. I'll put a link to where I talked about ScreenFlow below, but yeah, I wanted to kind of show you what I've got on my home screen on the iPad that lets me get my work done. So first off, I got to talk about this wallpaper. This is from Stephen Hackett's collection of 5K wallpapers. I'm using the Tiger one, but if you go to this, I'll put this in the show notes as well. You can see all of these awesome macOS wallpapers from years past in 5K. They look great on any screen. And so yeah, these look really fantastic, and you can get the exact nostalgia that you want. But we're not here to talk about the wallpaper only. I want to talk about what I use to get my work done on the iPad. And so I always have widgets over here on the left. So I'm using the Hey widget for email. Oops. And I'm going to just basically gives me an update on the feed items. So these are the less important emails that I have coming in. And if I scroll up, I can see my things widget, which I actually have set to not show anything right now, so that you don't see my to-do list. It's not embarrassing or anything, it's just work related. So there's that. And then I have deliveries down there as well. So that's what I have in the sidebar. If we hit the dock next, we've got Safari, which is my browser of choice on the iPad. It's the only one that does a great job with desktop support. So Chrome and Edge and all the other ones are okay. And I like Edge actually because it syncs nicely between Mac and Windows and Android, which is good for me, but the iPad app just isn't good enough, and so I don't use it myself. Next, I've got Ferrite. Ferrite is what I use to record basically all audio. And so you can see it recording right now, or it could be recording right now. It's picking me up. But I use a Blue Yeti microphone and I plug it into the app and it works great. And so I used to use it for podcasts when I did podcasts regularly. I also use it for a lot of the voiceovers for these videos. So I use this a lot. Oh, I should also mention, if I go in there, I can edit. And so you have a full featured editor. There's multi-track support, so I can add another track. You can add a whole bunch if you want. So you can really do everything in here. You can, trim clips and everything. So there's a whole lot of power that you can do in this app. So I love Ferrite for audio editing. Next up is Things, which again, I'm not going to go into, but it's my task manager of choice. Then I've got Reader. Reader is my RSS reader of choice. And this one, just every single time, it always ends up being like my absolute favorite. And so I just have these folders here. I can check in on each of these. There's keyboard shortcuts to go up and down articles and everything, mark them as archived and stuff. So really nice stuff here. So really love Reader. There's Reader 5 that just came out as a new update, and it's fantastic. Next up is email, and again, I'm not going to go into this because that's my private emails, but I love Hey for email. I've made numerous videos about that. You should go check those out if you want to learn more about Hey. Then there's YouTube. I use YouTube a lot. I love YouTube. I pay for YouTube Premium. You may roll your eyes at that, but $10 a month to never see ads and just have a wonderful YouTube experience is worth it to me based on how much YouTube I consume. So love the YouTube app. Really wish it supported picture-in-picture. I wish it was a better iOS citizen, but I'm there for the content and it does a good enough job of getting that to me. The Messages app, Files app, those are just normal, and then those are the last three that I accessed, so nothing interesting over there at the end. Then we get to the ones on the home screen itself, and we've got Ulysses, which I use for writing. And so if we go into here, you'll see some posts that I'm working on. I'm actually working on my iPhone 12 Pro review right now. I've got an inbox with some articles that I'm working on. I've got some scripts that I wrote for this site. I've got some notes on books for when I'm writing for the Suite Setup, some Birch Tree Gaming stuff. I have this whole folder of Not Gonna Happen. I'm not gonna go into that right now, but those are basically articles that I started writing and, just decided, no, this isn't getting anywhere. And I've got my completed folder, which is enormous, which every time I finish an article, it goes in here. But yeah, basically, if I go to my inbox, go to my iPhone 12 Pro review, I can hit Command 6. That goes into publishing mode. And so I can preview the article, what it's going to look like and everything. I can hit publish. And then here's a little interface for publishing the Ghost. This is coming up pretty soon, so keep an eye out for this. But yeah, I can add like tags and stuff. I can create an excerpt and all that. So that's really nice. Love, love, love Ulysses. I've said before that I think Ulysses might be my favorite app on any platform, anywhere. Then we've got LumaFusion, which I think is essential for anyone doing video work on the iPad. It's the best nonlinear editor out there. And so I'm actually currently using, I just did a time lapse of me flying Flight Simulator, but this is really impressive. This is a giant clip. This is, I think, like a 12-minute clip of me flying, and it's going at 6x speed. This is 4K footage, high bit rate, and you can see me just scrubbing right through it with ease. Super simple. You can import files from Box, Dropbox, Google Drive, OneDrive, and the Files app. So if you hit Files, it'll just open the Files app. So lots of power here, and I think that if you're used to like Final Cut or Premiere Pro on the desktop and you want to do some editing on the iPad, I think this is the best app. There's iMovie, there's Adobe Premiere Rush, but I think this one is really just heads and shoulders above the rest. Then there's Working Copy. I actually use Working Copy to write my newsletter. So I have a newsletter that I write every week, and so I'm actually going to, let me pull an update for this right now. I should get an update. There we go. But basically I use this to write the newsletter every week. So this looks like a lot, but I actually have shortcuts that automate most of this. But yeah, it lets me basically commit this stuff to GitHub. I have a full history of every post I've done previously. So I've actually done this every Friday since the end of February. So I'm actually really proud that I've been able to keep up with it for this long. But yeah, I basically compose it here using shortcuts mostly to compose the HTML for this, so I don't have to like write this all manually. And then I copy and paste it into MailChimp, and it just goes out. And so if I like preview this using the preview button, then you'll see, yeah, this is the newsletter. So this is what went out, and that's what you would have seen in your inbox if you subscribed. Got the Photos app next, which is, just the Photos app. Apple Music, I use Apple Music. I don't like Spotify nearly as much as Apple Music. I know that's a contentious thing, but for me, Apple Music works a lot better. I love Deliveries. I think this is the best package tracker on iOS. You can see I've got a couple things coming, actually. So that's really nice. I think it's, they just switched to a subscription model, so it's pretty cheap, I think. But yeah, if you're tracking a lot of packages, and based on how 2020's gone, odds are you have more packages coming than you typically do, since we're buying a lot more through e-commerce these days. Deliveries is a really nice app to do that. Screens is a cool app. It's a VNC app. Not getting too into it, but I have a Mac Mini up in a closet, basically, that's just connected to power and no display, and I can connect to it here. I have a Raspberry Pi, kind of the same situation, and then I have my Dell computer, which is kind of my gaming computer, and so I can connect to those here for those times where I need to do something on a desktop computer. I'm able to do that from this interface. Then this is a really cool app, Figurative. So Figurative is a Figma interface for the iPad. So I really think design apps are limited on the iPad. This gives me full Figma on my desktop with like iPad gestures. I'm using the mouse, the Magic Trackpad right now to kind of interact with it, but everything just works great and works very much like you would expect it to on the desktop. So I love having this because I like Figma quite a bit, and I use it on the desktop to do design work. I use it to make headers, and so I use it here and kind of, I don't want to show all my stuff again, but basically this is when I have kind of a document for creating headers for my blog, and I just create them here, export, like I can export this, and it's going to just share it to the share sheet, and I can do whatever I want. So love Figurative. I use Notion. I did another video on why I use Notion and how it works, so you can check that out, but Notion is one of the hot productivity apps at the moment, and I use that quite a bit. Lightroom is, I keep looking for an alternative to Lightroom that I can use. I've tried Darkroom, I've tried like all the apps, and Lightroom just is the best in my opinion. I can go into an image, I can adjust the sliders and everything. I feel like it does the best job of not ruining raw photos. Sometimes other apps I feel like kind of degrade the quality in the final result. I like that I can do presets. So I could do something wild like that, and I've got a whole other look, and so I've got a whole bunch of these. But yeah, I love Lightroom. It makes the Adobe subscription totally worth it for me. The Athletic is what I use to track sports news. So this is not necessarily something I would pay for myself because I don't care that much about sports, but I got it free with T-Mobile, one of their T-Mobile Tuesdays things. And so it lets you track your favorite teams and stuff and favorite sports and get the latest news on those. So I think those are, it's a nice service. I don't think I'm gonna resubscribe once it's all done, but it's a pretty decent app. Keeps track of your weekend progress and everything, lets you save things for later. So pretty nice app. Works actually a little better on the iPhone, and they do email notifications. So there's a whole bunch here, but if you're into sports, I think The Athletic is definitely an interesting thing to check out. And then there's Evernote. And so Evernote is what I'm currently using to keep personal notes. I was using it for work as well. I don't know. I'm currently very unhappy with my notes situation. I love Roam Research. I think it's fantastic, but it's $15 a month, which is hard to justify, in this economy and whatever. So I'm currently on the hunt for a note-taking app that works kind of across all platforms, has web sync, and is just it's just good. It's easy to use, satisfying to write in. I just want something that's excellent, and I think that I just haven't found it yet. So currently using Evernote because it supports like images and stuff, and is pretty universal, and I'm decently into their new update, but yeah, not totally happy with that. And then page 2 is the only other page I've got. I've got the App Store settings, shortcuts, whatever. And then I have a media section. These are just like for the stuff that I want to watch. Most of these are here, especially Amazon and Hulu and Netflix and stuff, just so that the TV app works. So if I'm like watching something, I can watch it on my Apple TV, which is what I normally do. But if I ever want to watch it on the iPad, I can do it by just opening the TV app, and they're all here. I've got this productivity folder, which is full of just the Apple apps that I don't really use. And then it has all these apps that I use occasionally, or that I always launch from Spotlight. So 1Password I typically launch from Safari, and Safari just opens it, or I use Spotlight to access it. Some of these are just for the share sheet. I typically use them, but yeah, these are for my lesser used apps. Nothing super exciting here. But yeah, so there's some stuff there if you want to check out. Then I've got news, and then a whole bunch of Apple Arcade games. If you haven't played Grindstone, I think Grindstone is the best Apple Arcade game. It's just tons of fun, super exciting. It's basically it's kind of like a match 3 game, similar to that, but it's kind of like, what if those games didn't have like stupid ways to try to make money off of you, because Apple Arcade games don't have in-app purchases. It just is able to optimize for fun, not for extracting as much money out of you as possible. I love Grindstone. Mini Motorways is also fantastic. And then Pixel Pro Golf is actually not an Apple Arcade game, but it is a free download. Just came out a couple weeks ago. It's an unbelievable golf game. If you're into like Mario Golf on the Game Boy, that old game, if you have nostalgia for that, you're gonna love this. And it has a $1 in-app purchase to remove the ads, but you can do everything else after that. So I really love this game. Yeah, that is my iPad home screen. I don't know if there's anything super crazy on here, but hopefully gives you an idea of how I work from the iPad and how I kind of get my work done without using a Mac most days. Like I said, the only thing I really use a Mac for reliably is for ScreenFlow, for posting videos to this YouTube channel. This video actually itself will be edited in ScreenFlow because I'm going to be able to do all the animations and stuff here. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. If there's any apps that you thought looked interesting, you can check them out. I'll link to a couple of them in the show notes, and I will see you here next time. Bye-bye.